Speaking of hitting home, I actually feel like I'm David Letterman in his new Netflix special, My Next Guest Needs No Introduction, because truly my next guest needs no introduction. His TED Talks view, Be Your Own Lifeguard, has been viewed over 1 million times. He is an Amazon best-selling author. He is an inspirational, motivational, amazing human being. His new book that just got released July 2nd went to Amazon's best-selling list day one, like truly day one. Who does that? This amazing gentleman. The name of the book is Better Selling Through Storytelling. And to be honest, don't we all have a story to tell? So wouldn't you love this gentleman who's been interviewed by Larry King, who's been on TV for his expertise as someone who says how to get what you want, how to ask for what you want and get a yes. So my next guest, best-selling author, better selling through storytelling, John Livesay.
The first thing I do when I get up in the morning is take a freezing cold shower. People say to me, John, why would you do that to yourself? Why would you disrupt yourself like that and get out of that warm, comfy bed? Well, research has shown that a cold shower can help you fight depression, burn fat, and more importantly, train our brains to tolerate discomfort and embrace disruption. Actually, the research had me at burn fat. I'm in the cold shower going, I'm burning fat. Oh, I think I can feel my abs through the ice cold water. Okay, I'm doing this. Now, this concept of getting out of our comfort zone by taking a cold shower in the morning is something that a lot of us don't really want to embrace. However, this just in, the comfort zone no longer exists. We have to get in the learning zone and get out of what I call this velvet rut. What's a velvet rut? A velvet rut is when you want to go through life all wrapped in velvet. I don't want to feel any pain. I don't want to have anything bad happen to me. I just want comfort, comfort, comfort. It's a rut. It's still a rut. People are going to therapists saying, everything's okay, but I'm still sad. They're in a velvet rut. How can we start to get out of this velvet rut and learn to embrace disruption in a time when we may not want to do it? Now, I've noticed there's 5 big areas of disruption that happen to us. The first one is death. Death of a parent, death of someone we love. The second one is illness, either our own illness or someone we know dealing with illness. The third one is loss of a job or loss of a relationship, divorce. And the 5th disruption is just Mother Nature. Earthquakes, fires, aging. If you think about that, when a plant comes up through the ground, it disperses the dirt and disrupts things. Birth is a disruptive moment. You know, 2-year-olds, some of them are known for having terrible twos. They're trying to assert their independence. They're disrupting things. They're not this sweet, non-speaking baby anymore. Many of you might remember your own awkward puberty years. Some of you might even be in the midlife crisis. Growth, aging is disruptive. And we all go through all of those. Now, I've been through each one of them already in my life. However, I never thought I'd have to experience 2 on the same day. December 22nd was Nora's memorial service, her celebration of life. It also happened to be a milestone birthday for me. Now, I had spent Thanksgiving with Nora and her family, and little did I know that'd be the last time I'd see her. And I thought, now it's her memorial celebration of life service on my birthday. And my sister said to me, are you sure you still want to have the birthday celebration on the same day? And I said, yes, more than ever. Because that's what we have to do. We have to celebrate life and all of the feelings, from the sadness to the extreme joy and the extreme gratefulness. Her passing was a huge disruption to everyone. And for me in particular, it was a big wake-up call about aging. No longer will I ever tell myself, oh, you're getting old, what does that mean? You're not. I'm just grateful to be here every day in a whole new way. Now, how can we embrace disruption, those 5 different things that might happen to us, or probably will happen to us, and still remember who we are? Well, my favorite affirmation is, my life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. Say that with me. My life is unfolding perfectly, no matter what. Now, if you want to think of yourself as the director of your own movie, and you can yell, cut, you can recast it, you can change the location, you're in charge of this disruption. I've noticed that there are some 3 key secrets I want to share with you on really embracing this disruption. The first one is getting in the present moment. It's the only place there's any peace of mind. Let's look at each one of those things through the past and the future. You know, how many times have you woken up in the morning and you know you have to be somewhere and your body's getting you out the door, but your brain is still half asleep? You're like, coffee. Right? Or at the end of the day, your body's exhausted and your brain will not shut off. Your brain and your body are not in the same present moment. So here's an exercise we can do together that you can take with you today to get yourself in the present moment. And you're going to breathe in for 4, and as you're breathing in for 4, you're going to visualize the numbers. You can pick Roman numerals, whatever you want. Hold it for 4, and then breathe out for 4. Ready? Okay, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. You've just got your mind and your body in the present moment. So when all this disruption is happening, you now have a new tool. Visualizing these numbers is going to really help lock this in for you. Because if you look at the issues around someone passing, whether it's my dad that died or Nora, the past, you start reliving the past and everything's a trigger and you're getting upset and reliving that past moment that won't happen again. Or the future. I can't believe I have to live my life without this person here. And you're not in the present moment, where the only peace of mind is. Let's look at illness. This time last year, my sister was in the hospital having surgery for ovarian cancer. And it was so easy in the waiting room with my mom to start going, we're reliving the past. Oh, what if she'd gotten to the doctors? What if they caught this before it was stage 3? What if? The past. Or worrying about the future. What if the cancer comes back? What if this happens? What if that happens? No peace of mind. Back to the present. What about losing a job? You start realizing that person said this and this person said that, and we keep playing those angry, resentful feelings over and over in our mind. Cut! I'm the director. Or you've lost your job. How am I ever going to get another job? Am I ever going to make this much money again? Fear. Cut! Or your relationship ends. You know, in a relationship, they say the key to dealing with that is you say goodbye to all the bad things. And usually, that list is really at the top of your mind. I'm saying goodbye to somebody who left the dirty dishes in the dishwasher all the time, whatever it is. Then you say goodbye. That one rang home. Then you say goodbye to the good things. I'm saying goodbye to my friend. I'm saying goodbye to some of the fun we had. And then here's the secret to letting go of the relationship. You say goodbye to the dream that you would grow old together, because every relationship has a dream. And when you really let all that go, you can be in the present moment to have your next relationship and not be in a fear place of, will I ever find love again? And then, of course, aging. If it's done unto us as we believe, if we believe that our best days are behind us, or that our future is just going to be one long, slow, sad decline and we're no longer relevant, then that becomes our reality. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm in the moment. That's not my truth. So being present is your first tool to handling the disruption that we're all facing. The second tool is resilience. Now, what does that look like? I was talking with Alison Levine, and Alison Levine is the woman who was the first to ever climb Mount Everest. And I was interviewing her on my podcast, and I said, you know, you've climbed Mount Everest, you've written a best-selling book, you're on the Today Show. Clearly, your path to becoming a keynote speaker must have been a no-brainer. She went, are you kidding me? She said, not only was climbing Mount Everest tough, but getting a career as a keynote speaker was. Because I would call speaking agents going, hey, I have a talk. They're like, we already have somebody who's climbed Mount Everest. He lost a limb, and they're making a movie about his life. Have you lost a limb? You've got to be kidding me. That's not enough? Climbing Mount Everest? Finally, she found an agent that said, all right, come in, give us your best 10 minutes. And they said, we're going to hire you. We're going to represent you. We think we can get you work. She's doing the happy dance in the elevator. I got an agent, my first big break. Nothing for 6 months. Crickets. What kind of resilience is required during those 6 months to still trust that it's going to happen and let go of, I thought that was my big break and nothing's happened? So she gets a call, this is 7 years ago when The Apprentice was just on, and they said, hey, can you be in Las Vegas tomorrow morning? It's a 6,000-person audience. The person that spoke today is a former astronaut, and they were supposed to have Carolyn from The Apprentice, who was in the boardroom firing people with Trump, speak, but she's sick and she can't come, and they can't find somebody at the last minute. And she's like, yeah, a flight can get me there at 10 o'clock tonight. And okay, great. So she calls the event planner up and says, I see what the theme of the event is. Anything else you can tell me? He goes, nobody cares what you're going to talk about. They're going to be so disappointed that Carolyn from The Apprentice isn't here. We've been promoting that for years. Bye. Click. Resilience. She stays up all night. She's photoshopping pictures of herself, Carolyn, and Trump climbing Mount Everest. She opens her talk with, you can count on me. That's my 3 words. Guess you can't count on Carolyn, can we? How many people do you have on your team you can't count on? And suddenly the audience is in her hands. From resenting to loving that she's with them. Next slide. Boom. There they are. People are laughing. She's like, oh, come on, Carolyn, a little stomach ache. You got to climb Mount Everest. She got a standing ovation. Rave reviews. That launched her career. The event planner who was so mean to her on the phone came up to her and he said, how come I don't know you? She goes, well, I'm not famous. He goes, you're going to be now. I'm going to call every event planner I know and tell them how great you are. And the takeaway for me was, are you ready for that call? Do you have a talk ready to go? Are you willing to do what it takes? And the guy even said to her, he said, how'd you get those slides done so fast? She's like, I haven't slept. I've been up all night. Many speakers wouldn't do that. Many people wouldn't climb Mount Everest or win an Olympic medal either, right? So there's a resilience to that. When I gave my TEDx talk, I got to hear Bonnie St. John speak. Bonnie lost the lower half of her left leg when she was 12 years old, and she went on in her 20s to enter the Paralympics in downhill skiing. And in those races, they take the average of 2 downhill mountains races, and whoever has the best combined time is who wins. So the first race, Bonnie goes, and she wins first place. Second mountain, everyone's falling. It's much icier. And sure enough, she goes down, she falls, she does her best, and finishes, and they go, you came in second. While you were the fastest skier, you were not the fastest person to get up after you fell. How fast are we getting up when we get knocked down by life? That resilience, it happens in our careers. Susie Orman said the #1 distinction between the top 1% real estate salespeople and all the other people struggling is when those top 1% people get a no, a deal falls through, whatever goes wrong, they're like, okay, on to the next. The other people say the same thing, but they don't really do it. They're moping around for 2 weeks. Oh, that darn person. And they're not in the moment. They're not getting back up fast. Now, recently, I got to interview Greg Centineo, whose son, if anybody has any girls between, 10 and 20, they know his son, Noah Centineo. Noah was in some hit Netflix movies. He won the MTV Best Kiss. It's a big deal. He's going to be in the new Charlie's Angels movie. And so I was talking to Greg about what's it like to raise a son that's so successful in an industry that's very competitive. And I said, was his big break, 2 years ago? Oh, no, he started acting when he was 8. And when he was 12, he got his big break in an independent feature with Steve Guttenberg. And we thought, okay, now we have some footage, we're off and running. For the next 5 years, from 12 to 17, he went on 80 auditions while living in Florida and commuting back and forth here for them. And he got really close. It would be to him and another actor and with the studio, and then he wouldn't get it. And he said to his dad, I think I'm going to quit. He said, let me ask you a question before you quit. What's the purpose of these auditions? To get the part? No. The purpose of this auditions and this process is to create a brand awareness of who you are to casting agents and directors. Total shift in the mindset. And when that happened, he kept doing it, and now he's quite successful doing it. Look at James, Dr. James, coming and speaking here right after Nora's passing. Resilient. That's what it takes to embrace this. Now, being present, being resilient is great, but you need this third secret ingredient in order to really embrace it. And it has to do with an act of kindness. Not just thinking kind thoughts, actually doing something kind. Because that gets you out of your own head. So, one of my friends, his name is Cal Fussman. He's a very well-known journalist. He used to write for Esquire magazine. He's interviewed everybody from Gorbachev to George Clooney to Serena Williams. But his career's been disrupted. Magazines are not paying journalists what they used to pay them to write those kinds of interviews. And so he said, I want to become a speaker, but I don't know how to sell myself. And I said, well, Cal, you do know how to tell a story. You're a journalist. And my whole specialty is helping people turn stories into a sales tool. So let's look at the skills you have writing and asking questions and telling these stories and package a way for you to become a speaker, and you won't feel like you're pushing because you're just telling your story and how you've helped people and lessons learned of that. And he said, oh, this is great. By the way, my son just got into sales. Would you mind having lunch with the three of us so you can give him some tips? Sure, I said. Those were just acts of kindness. I had no attachment to anything happening from that. Then a week later, he said, I co-host a show with Larry King called Breakfast with Larry. Would you like to be, we want to have you on it. Now, my intention to be on TV for my first book 3 years ago, I got the comment from a TV producer saying, respectfully, John, in order to be on TV, you have to be either young or famous, and you're neither. Resilience, that's all right, I'm not giving up. And so, but I never imagined that I'd get to be interviewed by Larry King, who's done over 60,000 interviews and interviewed every president for the last 4 decades. So I thought, all right, I'm going to be present and prepare for this interview with Larry King. And I found in his biography about how he got his big break, because in my mind, this was one of my big breaks. And the story was so fascinating because you have to imagine somebody before they were famous. So Larry King in the 50s was a radio host in Florida. And he wasn't making a lot of money. He certainly wasn't famous. And one of the people he interviewed on his radio show was Jackie Gleason, who had a TV show down there. And he became friends with Jackie Gleason after interviewing him. And Jackie Gleason asked Larry King this question. Let's play this game. What's impossible in your business? Well, let's double click on that question for a second. What's impossible in your business? What's impossible in your life, your love life, your work life, your relationship life? What beliefs are we holding on to that we think are impossible? Again, if it's done to us as we believe, and we believe something's impossible, then we get to be right. So Larry said to Jackie Gleason, well, what's impossible in my business, journalism, is interviewing Frank Sinatra. Because his son had recently been kidnapped, and the media was saying, well, it's because of his connections to the mafia. Well, Frank was livid. Said, I'm never talking to the media again. Jackie Gleason said, you know, he had laryngitis a few months back, and I filled in and did a comedy act for him, and he always said, I owe you. I'm going to pay that forward for you. The act of kindness in motion, just like me helping Cal got the interview with Larry King. Here's a story again of Jackie Gleason's act of kindness to Larry King. So Frank Sinatra shows up with his publicist at the radio show, and the publicist says, whatever you do, do not ask him about his son. Okay. 10 minutes into the interview, Frank's talking to Larry. He goes, you know, Larry, when my son got kidnapped, and Larry's like, to the publicist, I didn't ask him. But it was fine because Frank brought it up. So after the interview, Frank said, hey, why don't you come and bring a date to come hear me sing at the Copacabana? I'll put you front table, have free dinner and hear me sing. And Larry's like, that'd be great. And he's thinking, oh my God, whatever girl I ask to go with me is gonna really think I'm it. And you know, this is before ATMs or credit cards, or you know, he didn't have a lot of money, but the whole thing was free, so he's like, great. So he sits down, they hear the concert, and then Frank puts the spotlight on him and says, look, this guy's name is Larry King. I predict he's going to be famous. He just interviewed me yesterday. So now the girl's like, wow. All right. So they're driving back to her place, and she's like, I don't have any coffee in my apartment. Why don't we stop at White Castle and get some? Larry doesn't have any money on him. And he doesn't want to tell her that because that'll blow the whole image of the night. So he walks into White Castle, comes back out. She's like, where's the coffee? They couldn't change 100. Talk about resilient. I love that story. So cut to right before the cameras start rolling for him to interview me, I said, you know, I really love that story of how you got your first break with Frank Sinatra. And he goes, oh, yeah, that was a good night. So I knew it was safe to bring that up on camera. So halfway in the interview, Larry says, John, your book's better selling through storytelling. What makes a good story? And I said, well, Larry, would you mind sharing your story of how you got your first break, and then we can break it down for the listeners and the viewers? And he goes, sure. And then he tells that story, and I said, you know, you clearly painted a picture of how difficult it was to get Frank Sinatra, the solution, and then the whole date thing. My favorite part of that whole story and what makes it so great is that resolution. They couldn't change 100. That's that, even more than that being your launch of your career with Frank Sinatra. So that's the elements of a story that allows us all to remember it. So this concept of being in the present moment, and resilience, and I want to ask a few people a question, and we're going to start with Jason, since he's right here. And the question is, and I want you all to be thinking about this question for yourself, because there's something that I've come up with called ABK, and it stands for always be kind to yourself and to others. We say so many negative, critical things, especially during disruption stuff. Oh, I blew it, I got fired, or oh, that person left, or if I'd done this, I wouldn't have gotten sick, or whatever. I wish I'd said that to that person before they passed away. All the negative stuff. So if we need to start, you can put a little Post-it note, ABK, you can put it by your phone. If you have road rage, stick it on your dashboard in your car. Just remember, ABK to yourself. ABK. So the first question, it's the same question for everyone, but Jason's going to answer it first. What's the one thing you can do this coming week as an act of kindness for yourself or someone else?
Well,
Heather has a few ideas.
I think what I'm going to do this week, John, is I'm going to give my beloved golden goddess a massage 2 times this week, just full out, just yes.
Woo-hoo! Nice.
And if it comes back, it's great.
Sean, what's the one thing you're going to do as an act of kindness, either for yourself or someone else this week?
I'm going to remember that under any circumstance, I'm always doing my best, and everyone I'm dealing with is doing her or his best. And on some days, that definition of best is different. But each day, I and everyone else I'm dealing with is doing their best. So remember that, and remember that everyone I'm dealing with has their own perspective.
I love that. Thank you. You can pass it right back there. Tell everyone your name.
Corrine.
Corrine.
I have a new hospice patient, and I've learned that she's not getting meals regularly, so I am going to go and feed her.
Wow, how great. What a wonderful act of kindness. You're in that mode. And we're going to come over here to Aubrey. What's the one act of kindness you can do for yourself or someone else this week?
Well, there's so much. I'm going to be a good club member of TTP.
What is TTP?
And for those of you who don't know, I will share Walter Starkey's Trust the Process. Because as I trust and love and forgive and remember, those aren't so random acts anymore. They just are.
So
anybody who wants coffee today, it's on me, because I don't have 100, but I do have an ATM
I love
card.
it.
Seriously, but just one.
That's great. All right, so now we've heard 4 examples of ABK in action. And so I want to invite all of you to write that down on a Post-it note and actually set your intention today of what you're going to do. Now you know that you can embrace disruption. You can stay present, counting, breathing 1, 2, 3, 4, holding it and breathing it out. You can be resilient. If you really want to be present and resilient, take a cold shower. That'll do both at the same time. And now ABK, this kindness. Because now you can show up. The world needs you more than ever to be fully present, resilient, and full of kindness. And when that happens, we all get to celebrate being together right here and right now. Thanks. Thank you.